Hi there, smart driver. Talking to you about winter driving. Yes, it is upon us and it is going to be here soon. The ice and the snow. We're going to give you tips and strategies to be a safer, smarter driver on slippery conditions. Hi there, everybody. If you're just tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what class of license you're going for. We can help you with all that, getting a driver's license, passing a CDL license, so upgrading to becoming a truck or bus driver. And as well, we can help veteran drivers become safer, smarter drivers and to reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. And what we're all about here is helping you with social driving. Dealing with social driving. This is what is going on with you when you're driving out on the roadways. Social driving is the way that people drive after you get your license. So, speeding, following too close, not coming to a complete stop at stop sign intersections, talking on their cell phones, using backup cameras as their only method of reversing when they're backing up. And I'll tell you a story about that today. I just about got backed over by the recycle truck because they were using their backup camera and not looking in their mirrors and not, doing a 360-degree scan around the vehicle. So we'll talk about all of that. Now, quick question. My software is showing that I am clear. However, the preview that I'm getting on YouTube is blurry. Are you seeing me being blurry? Cheryl is here. Hello, elevator fan. Elevator saw a truck pacing a car. Yes, they do that, unfortunately, and I had one do that to me the other day on the highway. Clear. Excellent. Thank you, Marion, because as I said, my preview is not clear, but my software is clear. So anyway, we'll carry on here. Corey is here. Bricks for Wheels. Corey is the moderator, does an excellent job of getting up the videos I suggest you have a look at for more information on questions you ask. So definitely ask Corey. Corey will get stuff for you. Excellent. Gigi, hello, my friend, and excellent. Thank you for that. Ann is here from Michigan in the Wolverine. Yes, where they get snow and ice, and the lake effect, and New York State, upstate New York, as they call it. Buffalo especially gets the lake effect and gets a lot of snow, more snow than other people do. So if you're just tuning in, you're watching on the replay, let us know whether you've had snow yet, whether you've had frost. Some places have. I know, I'm going to guess that Corey has already got snow there in what they call winter peg. So yes. Paul is tuning in from Mississauga. So like I said, if you're just tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what class of license you're going for. So the preview on YouTube has cleared up here, so it's not as distracting as it was previously. Elevator fan, bridges and overpasses will freeze first. You are absolutely right, and the reason for that is because bridges and overpasses freeze from both the bottom and they freeze from the top, and this is the reason that they freeze first. Many of the ice videos that you will see on YouTube where people are losing control, oftentimes what happens is the bridge or overpass is on the end of a curve, so the car is already out of the straight line. It'll be going around the curve like this. The back end, the centrifugal force from going around the curve will already be pushing on the back end. They hit the bridge or overpass, and the ice is on the bridge or overpass, and then they lose control of the vehicle as they're going across the bridge or overpass. You'll see those all the time when you're watching the spin-outs on the winter driving videos on YouTube here. Gigi, Whistler has snow, and yes, I believe I saw some videos of Silver Star had snow as well. So yes, I got a dog down here at the bottom that's chewing on a book, so that's what I'm doing. We have a puppy. Chloe the puppy. I'll show you Chloe at the end of the live stream there. So yes, so some people have got snow already, and if you are driving up to the ski hill every day, we do suggest that you consider putting steel-studded tires on your vehicle. Now, as I said, and I'm not sure what's going on in the state of Michigan. I don't know what the rules and regulations are there. I know that in Ontario, the province of Ontario, which is just on the other side of Detroit, Windsor, they are not allowed to have steel-studded tires on their vehicles. However, here in the province of British Columbia, you can have steel-studded tires between the end of October and the 1st of April. You are allowed steel-studded tires on your vehicle. So if you're running on a lot of hard pack, steel-studded tires are suggested. Marion, no, Striker's fine. We have another puppy, Chloe. So Striker's fine. He's all good. Everybody's good. Okay, Corey, no snow yet. I have had the car windows be a little bit frosty for a few mornings, so just getting frost there in Winnipeg. Elevator Sands said that in Indiana it hasn't had snow yet this year. And Ann said no snow in Michigan, but it is between 35 and 37 degrees Fahrenheit. And freezing is, correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. Excellent. So we're getting close. It is still only the end of October. We here in the interior of British Columbia, we really don't start getting snow and ice until December. So it is coming. It's coming. So that's what we're going to talk about. First, what Elevator Fan was saying about where ice forms first and the proverbial black ice that everybody is terrified of. Bridges and overpasses. Low elevation, high elevation. Any place that the roadway is in shadow. So if there's a tall building or there's a mountain or trees along the roadway, you're going to get ice on the roadway. So those are the 4 places. High, low elevations, bridges and overpasses freeze first. Anywhere the roadway lies in shadow, and then anywhere the roadway goes past a body of water. So a river, a lake, a pond, or whatnot. The wind is going to pick up that moisture from that body of water and it's going to drop it on the roadway. So you're going to get ice. The other time you're going to get ice is if, say, it's near freezing all day, you get snow, wet rain, wet snow during the daytime, and then overnight it freezes, and then the next morning, because there was water on the roadway and there wasn't very much traffic overnight, that's another time that you're going to get ice on the roadways in the morning. And the proverbial black ice usually happens in the morning or late at night. A few years ago, I was going down to Victoria and going up Highway 97 towards Kamloops, and I was following another car, and I knew that the road was kind of icy. And I was sure that there was another vehicle in front of me that I was following, but, went around a curve, and I just knew as soon as I went around the curve, I got into the curve, that the buggy was going too fast and spun out. Fortunately, there weren't any other vehicles on the roadway. Went around a circle, backed into a hard snowbank, and then, went, oh, that happened, and then carried on with my trip. But it will catch you out every now and again, so know that. Now, when that happens, try and reduce your speed as much as possible. Do not give up, okay? Too many people get into a crash when they lose control of their vehicle, and because they give up, that's when they get into a crash. All right, get off the accelerator, get off the brake. Don't apply the brake because that'll just make it worse. Steer the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. And some smart drivers are going to come back to me and say, and that's wrong. When you go into a skid, steer in the direction of the skid. We don't know which way the skid is going, right? And inevitably, when people come back and say that to me, I say, well, what if the skid is going towards the ditch? Why would you steer towards the ditch? Steer the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. It's that simple, okay? That is old driver education. Steer in the direction of the skid. Old. It is old. It's from the 50s. It's the same thing as, one vehicle length for every 10 miles an hour over 30 miles an hour is your following distance. That is old driver education, all right? Just 3 to 4 seconds. It's that easy when you're driving, all right? Retired, my friend. Hello from Maryland. How are you, my friend? And Marion, Elevator Fan, visibility will reduce when it's snowing. Yes, it will be. So lights on, and if you have a newer vehicle that has the auto setting of the headlights, turn your headlights to the on position so that you turn on your taillights and activate your taillights so that other traffic on the roadway can see you when you're driving in bad weather. And as well, in bad weather, do not, I repeat, do not turn on your hazard lights, okay? It is distracting to those that are behind you and it confuses them. Hazard lights are for when you are broken down on the side of the road. They're not for driving in bad weather. And that consistent flashing of four-way flashers when you're driving in rain, heavy rain, you're driving in snow, you're driving in fog, it simply distracts those that are behind you. Everybody's on the same road. We all know that the weather is bad, okay? Just turn your lights to the on position so that you activate your taillights so other traffic can see you. Please do not turn on your four-way flashers when you're driving because it is super, super distracting and potentially could cause traffic behind you to rear end you even more so. Gigi, it's easier to say, but people still speed during winter and also still use summer tires, or they have winter and summer tires. Gigi, you're absolutely correct about that. People drive too fast for conditions of the roadway in the winter time, and many people do not put designated winter tires on their vehicle. I ran a poll here on the YouTube community tab a few years back. Only about 25%, a quarter of the drivers on the road, actually put designated winter tires on their vehicle. And 2 years ago, I was training a driver, a CDL driver, and they had two vehicles. They had two brand new vehicles, so obviously they had two vehicles with car payments, which is, $1,000, $1,500 a month for two cars with car payments, and said to me that, we don't really like driving this vehicle in the wintertime because it doesn't have winter tires on it, because we were trying to save some money. People will not put winter tires on their vehicles because of the cost. So know that very few cars that you are actually sharing the road space with in the wintertime actually have designated winter tires on their vehicle. Marion, there's no such thing as one of those kinds of questions. All season tires the same as all weather tires, or is it slightly different? Marion, this is another one of those things about people making things difficult. And I don't know what the difference between all season and all weather tires is. I will have to look that up for you, Marion, and get back to you. I'll send you an email, or I'll make a little video about what is the difference between all weather and all season tires. In my mind, there isn't any difference. It's just wording. But I will check on that, and I will get back to you, my friend. Paul, what about non-snow driving on the highway and comes to bumpers? Some drivers operate their hazards. Paul, that's different. And as long as they're only operating their hazard lights for a few moments, that's fine. And what you're talking about is you're on a freeway, Highway 401 there in Ontario, or you're in one of the interstates, Interstate 5 in and around Los Angeles, and you're bombing down the interstate, and all of a sudden traffic comes to a stop. Slow down way back from where the traffic is stopped, activate your hazard lights, and be looking at the vehicles that are coming up behind you. That is correct defensive posturing for not getting rear-ended on an interstate or a highway. So know that that's what they're doing. That is something different than driving in bad weather, where everybody is driving along a highway in heavy fog or heavy snow, and they just have their hazards on for, hours and hours on end. It is exhausting if you are following that vehicle and can't get past them. So what you're talking about is defensive posturing on an interstate or freeway or a highway where the traffic comes to a stop and you're not sure what the traffic behind you is doing. And couple of months back, when I came back from Kamloops late at night and there was a crash on the highway, they had the highway closed. I came up and I was the last one sitting in the queue, and I made sure that I was looking in the rearview mirror and I was watching traffic come up behind me. And as soon as I saw vehicles approaching from the rear, I activated my four-way flashers to indicate to people behind that something is going on, something is wrong up here. And that's what your hazard lights are for, is to indicate to traffic behind you that something is wrong, and to notify people behind you that something is wrong. Traffic is stopped, you're on the side of the road, you're broken down, those types of things. Hazard lights are not to indicate that it's bad weather, because everybody on the roadway already knows that information. They already know that it's snowing heavily, or you're in heavy fog, or there's something else going on with the weather, the roads are slippery or whatnot, okay? Being stopped, broken down, that is different. Defensive posturing to prevent vehicles from rear-ending you behind, that too is different. Corey says, for winter tire traction from least to most, summer, all season, all weather, winter tires. Okay, so I'd still be interested to know, Corey, what is the difference between all weather and all season tires? Because in your list of ascending order there, all weather are better than all season. Now, what I'm thinking, confirm this for me if you would, Corey, all weather tires are tires that are all season tires that are winter rated. They either have M and S, mud and snow, or they have the winter snowflake symbol on them. This is what I'm thinking. That's my thinking about those tires. Gigi, here in Vancouver in the Lower Mainland, people don't really use winter tires that much because it's raining, but also most people I know use mud or snow tires. Yes, and the other thing, Gigi, as you said, it doesn't snow down there. So when they do get snow, it's more slippery than it is when it's sub-zero temperatures in Vancouver, because the temperature is around freezing. And when the temperature is around freezing, the roadways are more slippery than when it's minus 20 degrees out, when it's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit out. The reason for that is because there is a layer of water on top of the ice and snow. Think of it like an ice hockey rink after the Zamboni goes out and floods the ice. There's a layer of water on top of the ice, and it makes it incredibly slippery. And I can remember the first time that I drove in Victoria when I was living there on Vancouver Island and got snow. And even with the buggy, which as far as I'm concerned is the best winter driving vehicle that I've ever had, will just go through any kind of snow, was losing traction all over the place. And in my mind, when it snows in Vancouver, they should just shut the city down and go home, like they do in South Carolina. Okay? If it snows in South Carolina, they just go home. They don't even bother staying out or driving or those types of things. And it's the same thing with Vancouver. But of course, we're Canadians. We just got to keep driving through winter when it is so dangerous and so treacherous. And then last year, of course, all the transit bus drivers in the union got on board the wagon where we have to put winter tires on transit buses. So we're going to spend taxpayers' money to spend tens of thousands of dollars to put winter tires on buses for when it snows one day a year. I mean, that's absolutely ludicrous. It's like, just shut the transit system down and everybody go home for the day. It's not going to hurt anything. It's one day. It's not like it's COVID, right? Because the next day, all the snow and ice is going to melt. It's gone. Marion, when it snows here, it's mayhem. No one knows how to drive, and basically Vancouver shuts down. And Marion, basically they should just shut it down. The mayor should just get on and say, okay, the city's shut down. Everybody go home. Stay in your houses. Don't drive. Be safe. Okay. Maybe the L can continue to keep running. Cheryl, that's because they can't drive on a good day in South Carolina. Cheryl, I don't disagree with that. The other thing about South Carolina is it's what I was talking about. The temperature is around freezing, around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It is more slippery, more treacherous to drive in ice and snow when the temperature is around 32 degrees Fahrenheit than it is when it's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Because when it's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, the snow and ice is actually sticky. When the temperature is around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it is treacherous and slippery and slick. And this is why a few years ago when Texas got snow, they couldn't drive anywhere because A, they don't have winter tires. B, it's so slick, so slippery that they just, the governor of Texas should have just declared a state of emergency and everybody should have just gone home. But I don't know. We continue to insist that we have to work. I was going to work, I was halfway and I got turned back. Yes, and so you should be. It's just a matter of safety in the wintertime. And this is the other piece about it. Take note of the temperature outside. If it is around 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit at the freezing temperature of water, it is going to be more slippery, more treacherous than if you are in sub-zero temperatures in the wintertime. That's the first piece of advice that I can give you for driving safely in the wintertime. 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius, Marion. Okay, so 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 212 degrees Fahrenheit is boiling point of water, which is 100 degrees Celsius. So there's your thing. And the two of them come together very close. Minus 40 degrees Celsius and minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit are at the same temperature. Now, you want to be in my head, right? With all this little bits of trivial knowledge just floating around there, banging into each other. There you go. Gigi, Vancouver is a rainforest, but the fact remains that even SkyTrains were delayed, but the rain and snow made it worse. Yes. Yes, the SkyTrain, thank you. I called it the L, but it's only called the L in Chicago and New York. But the SkyTrain is the L. We got to be different. We got to call it something else, right? It's like all weather, all season tires. We got to call it something different. It's not really that different. It's still an elevated train. So there we go. All right, let's get over to the presentation here. We'll get through that. We'll spend 10 or 12 minutes on the presentation. We'll come back and we'll spend the remainder of the hour answering all your questions. And Marion, just remind me to talk about mechanics, because I do want to talk about that. I do want to talk about the bias of people who are ignorant about their cars, and they go in and they get exploited by shops. And unfortunately, Marion, I think that's what happened to you, because I have never heard of a shop that cleans your brakes. And I'm almost positive, I'm not 100% sure, maybe Corey can Google this for me. Does a 2017 Honda HR-V have disc brakes on the rear? I think that it does have disc brakes on the rear. I don't think that it has drum brakes on the rear. Corey, looks like it's about softness of the rubber with all-weather tires using a more soft material than all-season tires, but not as soft as winter. Yes, all weather has the mountain snowflake symbol on it. Okay, so if it has a softer rubber compound in all weather tires, then it's closer to a winter tire than an all season tire. Okay, so that's what that sounds like. Reading all season is fairly misleading. All right, there we go. Yes, but some people will call all season tires summer tires, and as I said, we have not had summer tires since bias ply tires, which was the 1960s that we made the transition from bias ply to radial tires. And let me tell you, the world is a much better place because of radial tires as opposed to bias plies. Bias plies were absolutely horrible, especially in combination with the marshmallow suspensions that they had in the 1950s and 1960s. It's the first time I have encountered that, I must admit. Okay, excellent. Also, I want to add that in Vancouver, all seal-on tires work better in Vancouver than winter tires. All seal-on tires. I'm not sure what those are, GG. Okay, excellent. Let's get through the presentation here. We'll get over to that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to you some more about all the comments and questions and winter driving and all-season tires and all winter tires, all weather tires. All right, so bad weather, dadgum, stuck in the ditch, and this is what you don't want to happen in the wintertime, is you don't want to get stuck in the ditch. You want to stay out of the ditch. You want to not hit fixed objects along the roadway, and you definitely don't want to lose control of your vehicle. That is the goal in the wintertime. And the time that you are going to lose control of your vehicle is that when it goes from not being straight, when you're turning curves, corners, that's when you're going to lose control of your vehicle. So you need to slow down before curves, corners, and turns to maintain control of your vehicle on slippery conditions in the wintertime. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. Was a truck driver in the 1990s, hauled freight between Ontario, Canada, and the United States, mostly east of the Mississippi. I did get out to the west and down to Texas a few times, but mostly east of the Mississippi. Drove buses for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines when I was living in Australia between 2002 and 2006. While I was going to university there, and 1 year before I went into university, I was driving buses for Greyhound, so I have coach experience as well. 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne with my doctorate in legal history, which is a study of policing, courts, and prisons. And oddly enough, my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. So how policing changed and how legislation and laws changed to police motorized traffic as it made the transition from horse-drawn traffic to motor traffic. You want to know more about me, want to know more about the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel and the online business, you can check out the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website. All right, have a look at this video, winter driving mistakes that people make in the wintertime that are going to see them end up in the ditch. All right, first and foremost, winter washer fluid. Make sure that you put winter washer fluid into the reservoir of your vehicle so that you can keep the glass clean, so that you can see clearly in the wintertime. Because even if you have a bit of frost on the glass in the wintertime, you can spray it with some winter washer fluid, turn on the windshield wipers, and that'll clear the glass. All right, make sure that your rear window defrost works as well. So you just turn it on. It's electric on most vehicles. Just put your hand on the back glass and see if it's warm. And if it's warm, then your rear window defrost works. Corey will put up the video for you on 8 steps to set up your vehicle. Make sure that you set your vents up correctly on the dashboard so that they're blowing out to the side window so you can defrost the side glass as well. And as I said, other mistakes in that video, Corey put that video up in the comments there. Have a look at that as well. And for you watching on the replay, I'll put it down in the description there. Have a look at that. So winter washer fluid, especially if you're driving in and around when the temperature is at freezing, 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, because there will be a lot of water coming off the roadways and you'll get a lot of guck and yuck on the windshields, especially here in British Columbia where I live. They put a lot of sand, salt, and guck. They call it pickle mix, and they'll put that on the roadways, and all the vehicles will kick that up and it'll get on your windshield. So you want to make sure you have lots of windshield washer fluid to keep the glass clean on your vehicle. Driving on the Trans-Canada in the wintertime through the mountains, I can tell you right now that you're going to get a lot of that spray coming off the big semi-trucks, and you're going to have to go into a fuel station every now and again. I know that when I drive down to Victoria in the wintertime, oftentimes once or twice I got to stop at a fuel station and I got to use the squeegees to clean the glass on the windshield and clean the mirrors and those types of things, because the car will just be absolutely coated in this guck and yuck off the roadway. Okay, stay away from sand trucks as much as you can in the wintertime. Do not pass snow plows on the right, only pass on the left if it's safe to do so. And in many instances, when you get snow trucks and snow plows on the roadway in the wintertime, you're going to have to follow them for a distance until they pull off the roadway and you can get past them. Because if you're on a 2-lane highway with opposing traffic, you get out into the other lane, there's no road maintenance done in that lane, and then you get in front of the snowplow and there's no maintenance done in front of the snowplow, so you're in high risk areas in a high risk situation where you could potentially lose control of your vehicle. So just take a breath, follow the snow maintenance crews until they pull off or they finish what they're doing on that section of roadway. Some years ago, when I was driving down to Victoria, I was going into Kamloops. I got 2 stone chips on the windshield on one side, on the east side of the Kamloops, and then I went out on the west side and got in behind a sand truck. And I'm pretty sure that the stones on the back of the sand truck, some of them were as big as my fist, and a couple of them, 2 more come off the back of the truck, 2 more chips on the windshield. So it was pretty costly to go in and get the chips done on the windshield. Yeah, another dog. She's a puppy. Okay, tires. You want tires with good siping on the tread. So that just means that you have flexible tread in there so that it moves, so that it gets rid of and evacuates the snow from the surface of the tire. That's what creates traction in the wintertime. So at minimum, you need M&S tires or have the mountain snowflake symbol. As I said, if you're running on hardpack or you're running up and down to the ski hill every day, you want steel-studded tires if where you live allows for steel-studded tires. Make sure that your tires are properly inflated. Most newer vehicles are going to have tire pressure monitoring systems. If you have a low tire, make sure that you get it the tire pressure up to the correct amount, and as well if you have a leak or whatnot, take it into a tire shop. And as I've talked about previously, there are benefits to being loyal to a tire shop. They will fix repairs, or they will fix punctures on your tires if you have a puncture for no cost if you buy the tires from them, and as well they will do free tire rotations as well. Stopping on ice, get off the brake, get off the throttle, and try and brake in a straight line. So in other words, keeping the vehicle straight. That will allow you to maintain control. As well, on ice and snow, when it's slippery conditions, slow down back from where you actually want to get stopped, so approximately half a block from the intersection, and then you want to creep up to where you actually want to get stopped in the winter time. Okay? Get off the brake. If you step on the brake and you start losing control of the vehicle, or it starts to slide sideways, get off the brake and steer the vehicle. Sometimes if you're coming up towards an intersection and you want to get traction, you want to get off out of the main tracks of all the traffic so that you can get traction. So in other words, you want to head towards the shoulder of the road, and sometimes you will get traction there in the gravel or whatnot, and that will allow you to get the vehicle stopped. But again, it comes back to not giving up. Okay? Do not give up. Don't just go, oh my God, we're all going to die. Yep, whatever, and throw your hands up. All right? This is unfortunately one of the main reasons why people crash, is because they give up too early. So keep going, steering the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. As well, apply the brakes, release the brakes, allow the tires to spin, regain traction, and then hit the brakes again. All right? Sometimes that will work as well for you to get traction and to get the vehicle stopped. Loss of control. Anytime that you have too much brake, too much steering, too much acceleration, you could potentially lose control of the vehicle. So get off this, get the steering wheel back to straight, get off the brake, get off the accelerator, and oftentimes you will regain control of the vehicle. But know that too much of the primary controls, the steering wheel, the brake, and the accelerator, are going to cause you to lose control of your vehicle. Slush and deep snow. If you have slush or deep snow, when the snow crews, the maintenance crews go out and they're plowing the roads or they're sanding and salting the roadways, know that they're going to do the main roads first. When you get into the suburbs and the back roads, they're probably not going to be done. As well, if there's a lot of snow and maintenance crews have not got out, or there's slush and it's been melting, you had a big pile of snow and then the temperature increases, the next day or 2 days, you're going to get slush and you're going to get windrows between lanes of traffic. And if you go from one lane of traffic to the next lane of traffic, you're going to get into that slush and it is going to push you around. So you're going to have to hold the steering wheel and you're going to have to continue to adjust so that you don't get pushed around too much by that snow, that deep snow that you're going to be in. Okay? Don't pass on curves in the wintertime. You can see all kinds of crash analysis videos in the wintertime where they're going around a curve and they're passing another car. Don't do that, because as I said, as soon as the vehicle gets out of straight, so it's going like this down the roadway, as soon as you're going around a curve and the front end is on a different path than the back end, or that's when you're going to potentially lose control of your vehicle. Passing large vehicles. Big vehicles are going to kick up a lot of snow. They're going to kick up a lot of slush and water, and you are going to lose visibility. And I've had this happen so many times where you come up on a big vehicle, a semi-truck or a snowplow or something like that, and you go past and your windshield is just coated with the rain and water and snow and slush and stuff that is kicked up by these big trucks, and all of a sudden you lose visibility. So turn your windshield wipers on early. Be preemptive in getting your windshield wipers on so that you can maintain maximum observation. Okay, if you do have to follow these and you're getting a lot of guck and slush and rain and whatnot and it's reducing your visibility, stay back as far as you can. Look for the landmarks along the roadway. Corey will put up the video on night driving and all the landmarks, okay? Traffic signs along the roadway, utility poles, other traffic on the roadway will help you to locate where the roadway is going, because when it's dark, it's snowing at night, those types of things, anytime that you've lost visibility, you're going to need and rely on landmarks along the roadway to identify where the roadway is going. Changing light conditions, all right? We talked about this in terms of ice on the roadways, especially in the morning time, especially in the morning with the proverbial black ice. Bridges and overpasses, high elevations, low elevations, anytime that the roadway lies in shadow where there's trees along the roadway or there's a building or a mountain, anytime that the roadway goes past a body of water. Changing light conditions, all of this is going to affect other traffic on the roadway. And if you pay attention to this, and again, this comes back to driving intuition that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago with Marion, and that, you know, we begin to see small details and changes in traffic that we previously didn't see, because as we get more experience, we get driving intuition. If you notice, you're on a highway and traffic starts going under an overpass, the traffic slows down slightly because it's dark under the underpass. So changing light conditions are going to affect traffic and its speed and its trajectory along the roadway. Know that. All right, chop steering. This is one of the, if you get stuck out and you're losing control of your vehicle, get your foot off the accelerator, get your foot off the brake, and then bring the steering wheel down, turn it, bring it back up to straight, and then bring it down again if you're losing traction on your vehicle. This is a technique adopted from rally car racing. And if you watch rally car racing when they're when they have the shot inside the car and the driver is going around a corner and they're doing this with the steering wheel, it's called chop steering. And what they're doing is they're turning, they're losing control, so it's understeering. They bring it back to straight and then they steer again, because the tires, the steer tires on the car, regain traction, and then the vehicle starts to turn and go around the corner. And this is one of the techniques that you can implement in the wintertime to overcome what's called understeering, when you turn the steering wheel and it continues to go straight, as opposed to oversteering, which is you turn the steering wheel and then the back end starts to come around, which is a lot more scary than understeering. Okay? Pull and release the steering wheel to regain traction and get steering control, and look in the direction that you want to go with the vehicle when you begin to lose control. Now, the other piece about wintertime and driving in the wintertime, you do this all the time in the summertime, you get a bit lazy, you're braking and steering at the same time. On slippery conditions in the wintertime, steering and braking are two separate actions. Okay, brake first, get your speed down, go around the corner, and then accelerate and continue to carry on with your journey. Skid control, drive for the conditions of the road. Again, coming back to your primary controls and overuse. This is the reason that you're potentially going to lose control of your vehicle. Steer in the direction that you want the vehicle to go. Use chop steering, get off the brake, get off the throttle, and get out of the ruts of the snow. Okay, if you're losing control of your vehicle and you're in the ruts that everybody else is driving in, try and get over to the right, away from oncoming traffic, and oftentimes that will allow you to get a bit of traction and regain control of your vehicle. And again, wear your seatbelt. Your seatbelt is not just to protect you in the event of a crash. Your seatbelt is also to keep you in the seat during emergency maneuvers, because if you're not in the driver's seat, it's pretty tough to drive the car. If you get thrown into the footwell on the passenger side of the vehicle, you're not driving the vehicle anymore, right? And as well, over on the extreme left of the driver's footwell, there is a pedal there where you can rest your foot. It's not for resting your foot. It's actually called the dead pedal, and you can put your foot on it and you can push yourself back into the seat to maintain control in emergency situations. So ensure that you wear your seatbelt, not just for the purposes of being in a crash, but also maintaining control of your vehicle during emergency maneuvers. Skid recovery. This is going to happen, especially on slippery conditions when you get into the proverbial black ice. If you begin to lose control, steer in the direction that you want to go. As I said, it's old driver education for those people who are adamant that it's steer in the direction of the skid. Who's got time to figure that out? You got like a second, maybe, to regain control of your vehicle if you lose control of it. So just steer in the direction you want the vehicle to go. Okay, slow the vehicle as much as possible. Don't give up. Continue to work the steering wheel, because sometimes you're going to have to work it like a crazy person. I'll tell you, when I lost control of the buggy there a few years back on ice when I was going up the highway, I was really working the steering wheel to try and get it back. But unfortunately, I just had too much speed and I lost control of the vehicle and went around a circle. Now, fortunately, as I said, there wasn't any more traffic. So if a crash is imminent, this is what you do. You got to try and reduce your speed as much as possible. Get on the brake, try and slow as much as possible. Look in the direction that you want the vehicle to go. Steer like a crazy person, and don't give up, and aim for something small, okay? Try not to run into oncoming traffic. If you have a choice between oncoming traffic or a side swipe with another vehicle or a fence or a shrub or something like that, then definitely aim for the shrub, definitely aim for the fence, those types of things. Try not to run head on into oncoming traffic. And as I said, in terms of defensive driving, if you have a choice between a sideswipe crash and a head-on crash, pick the sideswipe crash every time in terms of defensive driving. Sideswipe crashes, generally nobody will be injured in a sideswipe crash. It will only result in property damage, so damage to your vehicles or something else. If you lose control and run into a fence or something like that, generally people will survive a sideswipe crash. You won't survive a head-on crash, and you will probably be maimed. So know that if you have a choice between a head-on crash and a sideswipe crash, pick the sideswipe crash every time. Adjust your speed to the conditions, because it is oftentimes speed that people lose control of their vehicle. fit your vehicle with good quality tires, and I'm not advocating that you put winter tires on your vehicle. However, if you're driving in snowy conditions all the time or driving on hard pack, then yes, put winter tires on your vehicle. Make sure that you have good quality tires that are M&S rated or have the mountain snowflake symbol on them. Skid control. Look in the direction that you want the vehicle to go. Try and reduce speed as much as possible and steer like a crazy person. Make sure that you wear your seatbelt so that you can stay in the seat during emergency maneuvers. Crashing. If crashing is inevitable, try to hit something small, something soft. Don't aim for a rock. Don't aim for a tree. Aim for a fence. Aim for a shrub. Drive into the ditch, those types of things, because, you know, you drive into a ditch, it's not a big deal. You just call the tow truck. They come and get you out. They look funny at you because they think you're goofy, and, you know, they pull you out, carry on with your life, and you're a bit chagrined for a couple of days, but you're safe. Your car isn't going to get wrecked, and those types of things. So know that if that happens and you end up crashing or you end up driving into the ditch and those types of things, keep yourself safe. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Marion, I've been driving for just over 2 years. Okay, yes, excellent. Excellent. Evan, snow is one of the conditions to have your low beams on, with the others being smoke, fog, and rain. Yes, absolutely. If you have your headlights on, make sure that you have them on low beams, and as well, make sure that you move them from the auto setting to the on setting so that your taillights are activated so other traffic can see you when you're driving in reduced visibility. And essentially, the rule is that windshield wipers on, headlights on, okay? Turn them to the on position. Epic, also carry the following winter windscreen washer fluid, because if you don't use summertime, it will freeze up. Yes, so definitely put in winter washer fluid on your vehicle. That way it's not going to freeze up, because if you have water or you have summertime washer fluid in your reservoir, as you know, when water freezes, it expands. It's one of the few things that does actually expand when it freezes, and it will break that plastic reservoir in your vehicle. So make sure that you have winter washer fluid in there so it doesn't break, and as well to have maximum visibility in the wintertime when you're driving. Gigi, do I prefer driving in Vancouver or Vernon in the wintertime? I prefer driving in Vernon because it's not quite as crazy, because, you know, the sheer volume of traffic, and then of course, you know, it's much more slippery in Vancouver than here it is in Vernon, because we get lower temperatures in the wintertime. I'm not saying that we don't get our days that aren't slippery, but we definitely do. But for me, I have so much experience driving in and around the world in different places that it doesn't really faze me any place that I go. Now, the other piece about wintertime and winter driving for most people is when they get freaked out about driving on ice and snow is that it doesn't happen very often. And going back to the same rhetoric that I say all the time, or the same piece of advice that I say all the time to people, is that it's easier to take your driver's test in the wintertime. Okay, think about it. It's only going to snow probably half a dozen times in the wintertime. So most of the time, 90% of the time in the winter, roads are going to be clear, and there's great visibility, and there are fewer vulnerable road users on the roadway. So you're going to have less traffic dealing with in the wintertime. And if it snows in the wintertime taking your driver's test and it's bad, they're just going to postpone your driver's test. They won't take you out if it's bad. So know that. For those of you who are postponing your driver's test until next spring, next summer, don't do it. Go book a driver's test and get it done. You're going to have a higher skill set because you're learning how to drive in the wintertime. And as well, driving examiners are less stressed because it's not the busy time of the year when everybody's taking their driver's test. And because they're less stressed, they're probably going to give you kudos for learning how to drive in the wintertime, because you're driving on ice and snow and it's going to be that much better. So there are many reasons in the wintertime, and Corey's put up the video. Have a look at that about why you should take your driver's test in the wintertime. Do not postpone it until next year. And I will say this again next winter when we come into this again. Don't postpone your driver's test until next year. Excellent. Elevator fan, if you're driving on the interstate in the snow, don't drive in a cluster. Yes, absolutely, elevator fan. And any other time, even if it's not snowing or it's excellent weather out, don't drive in the clusters of cars on the interstate, freeway, or highway. You want to be the lone wolf, because if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit anything. And following distance, 3 to 4 second following distance at all times. Minimum 2 second following distance. You can maintain that pretty easily. And I've had people talk to me about congestion. I had a Lyft driver the other day leave a comment, a really great comment, that they leave 3 seconds. They drive in New Jersey. A lot of people cut them off. Yes, when it's congested, people are going to move into that space if you leave that space in front of your vehicle. However, it is your best defensive posturing, because space buys you time. Time buys you options. Options prevent crashes every time. It's going to keep you safe. There is nothing that you can do that is a better defensive driving skill, but by increasing your following distance to 3 to 4 seconds. If you can do that, you are going to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. In addition to that, stop back 1 vehicle length from the vehicle in front of you, so that you can see the tires of the vehicle making clear contact with the roadway. That's your landmark, and that is going to be your defensive posturing against being rear-ended when you're sitting at the traffic light waiting for it to change. And then shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking, ABS. Always be scanning, especially when moving through intersections. More than 40% of crashes happen at intersections. If you can put these 3 driving habits in place, 3 to 4 second following distance, stopping back 1 vehicle length, and shoulder checking and ABS, always be scanning. If you can put those 3 habits in place, you are going to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. One of the challenges with social driving is that people go along for 3 years, 5 years, they're never involved in a crash, and they think that what they're doing is right. They think that what they're doing is safe because they haven't been involved in a crash. Because the reality is that on average, the average driver crashes once every 15 to 17 years. So these driving habits are not going to keep you safe today, tomorrow, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 years, 5 years from now. But in 8 years, it might prevent you being involved in a crash. Because the problem with all of this is traffic is dynamic. It's always changing. You're never on a stretch of road with the same drivers or the same combination of vehicles. It's always different. However, because it's predictable most of the time, we think that it's predictable and it's not dynamic. The analogy that I use is that there's a back alleyway behind my house that I drive into to go to where I need to go, either downtown or jiu-jitsu or wherever I'm heading. 2 times out of 100, when I drive into the alley, there's people there. The other 98 times there aren't people there. It's the same thing when you drive through an intersection or drive into a section of roadway, and 98 times out of 100, nothing is going to happen. 2 times out of 100, something is going to happen, something is going to change. And do you have the driving habits in place that are going to keep you safe for that 2% of the time? This is why it's so important to put those driving habits in place, to create those driving habits, because when you get distracted, when you make a mistake, when you do something goofy, when you get tired, those driving habits are going to keep you safe and prevent you from being involved in a crash. Gigi, speaking of shoulder checking, it also goes for pedestrians and cyclists as well. Gigi, you're absolutely right. Even more so for cyclists, as far as I'm concerned, and more so for pedestrians, because pedestrians, motorcycle riders, and cyclists, and kids on e-scooters, and all these electric contraptions that are now vying for road space, there are no fender benders for vulnerable road users. If you get hit by a car, you're probably going to the hospital. It's not likely that you are going to survive that without some sort of injury. Epic, another thing during the wintertime, pay attention to state, provincial government 511, because they will tell you what the winter speed limits on interstates and divided highways are. Typical 30 to 40 miles an hour. Okay, so there's information sources there through 511. Thank you for that. Gigi says winter driving, I think, would let students panic because they will say they are going to fail or lose control. Yeah, not true most of the time in the wintertime. Most of the time the roadways are clear and those types of things. So know that. All right, Marion, excellent. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, Marion, unfortunately, and it's not just Marion, it's many people, women, and my mother, also my mom, who's 80 years old, lives by herself and is now looking after the house and everything else that's going on, are have been exploited by shops, and especially Jiffy Lube and dealerships. I have a bias against dealerships. I think that they are overpriced and they do not do good service. And there is information on social media about, there was one just the other day that I was reading in terms of taking their vehicle to a shop. They had a brand new vehicle. They were taking it into the shop for an oil change because they got free oil changes included in the purchase of the new vehicle and tire rotations as well. And what happened was the guy took it into the shop. Actually, no, he didn't take it into the shop. His wife took it into the shop. Before his wife took the vehicle into the shop, he marked the front tires. He put yellow dots on the front tires because they were supposed to rotate the tires. So the front tires were supposed to go to the rear, and then the rear tires crisscross and go to the front. Got the vehicle back, and the yellow dots are still on the front tires, which meant that they did not rotate the tires, even though they said on the work order that they did in fact rotate the tires. So shops are not all shops are created equal. We'll say that. And unfortunately, you have to be pretty forceful if you don't know the shop that you're dealing with. Marion's case, unfortunately, somebody did answer the question about the HRV. I did see that kind of scroll by previously. Just remind me, Corey, were they disc brakes or were they drum brakes on the back of the 2017 HRV? They said that they cleaned the brakes on the back. They changed the diff fluid, changed the transmission fluid, and a whole bunch of other things that was just disc brakes, okay, on the back. So disc brakes don't need to be cleaned. They don't, okay? So unfortunately, Marion, God, you got done, because they don't need to do all this stuff. And the other thing, Marion, next time you need an oil change on your vehicle, it doesn't have to be done right away as soon as the light comes on. It just every 5,000 kilometers you need to do an oil change on the vehicle, and if it goes over to 6,000, it's not a huge deal. All right. So yeah, sorry to say that, Marion, but all of the stuff that they're doing is they're not doing you a service. So how do you find somebody that you can trust? First and foremost, go on to Google, look at the reviews of the shop. If they don't have a 4.6, a 4.7, even higher, 4.8, 4.9, don't take your vehicle there. The other thing, and I know what Marion's saying, and I know that her husband took the vehicle to Honda, to the dealership. So the thing about that is some people believe that dealerships are the way to go. They buy a new vehicle every 2 or 3 years. They take it to the dealership does all the work on their vehicle. Me personally, I do not agree with that. I don't take my vehicle to a dealership. For example, the valves need to be adjusted on the buggy because it's old, and every couple of years you have to adjust the valves. I took it into Honda. They were going to change the timing belt on it. This was a few years ago, and it was like $3,000 to change the timing belt. It was crazy. I went to the shop that I normally go to. It was $1,000 to change the timing belt. So shop around. Marion, like I said, go on Google, do some research, talk to some friends and family members and see who they take their car to, get recommendations from other people. My suggestion, I don't like dealerships. That's me personally. And I definitely would not take my vehicle to, unless I was, in a hurry, I would take my vehicle to Jiffy Lube and those types of things. So, it's not easy. I'm not saying that it is easy. It takes work to find a shop that you trust, because you need to take your vehicle to somebody that you rely on, because you don't want to go in and get hosed every time you go in because they say, oh, you need this and you need that and blah, 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 right? And, I've been hosed too. Unfortunately, I am not immune to this either. I took my vehicle into another shop a couple of years ago, and by the time I got it back, it was like $7,000 and it didn't run right. And they kept telling me that it needed a throttle body. And I talked to a couple other people and they said, I've never ever replaced a throttle body on a vehicle. And, finally I took it back to my old shop and they fixed it. Anyway, it is what it is. And, yeah, when the transmission fluid needs. Okay, so Marion, transmission fluid needs to be changed approximately every 100,000 kilometers. You need a transmission change on your vehicle. it's not, it's something for you, it's probably something that's going to get 5 or 6 years. Okay. It's not something that you're going to do every year. Okay. Oil changes once every 5,000 kilometers, tire rotation every 2 tire rotations. As I said, find a shop, ask around, see other people who use their shop, see if they trust them, look on Google, check out the reviews, those types of things. And if you need any help, just send me an email and I'll definitely help you out with that now. Gigi, I honestly want to go driving with someone in order to practice because last winter I almost ran off the road. Yeah, but you didn't drive off the road, so you're good. You're good, my friend. Vehicle doesn't decelerate as it used to. Brake changing, no, brakes wear out, okay? Depending on how you drive your vehicle, you're going to have to change your brakes out once every 3-4 years, maybe 5 years, depending on how you drive. The more defensive driving you have in place, the less you're going to have to change out your brakes. Marion, I am only at 5,000 kilometers now. Yikes. So the HRV that you're driving only has 5,000 kilometers on it total. Is that what you're saying, Marion? That it only has 5,000 kilometers on it, like in all the miles you put on it? Okay, so that's one of the things. Oh, the other piece that happened to me today, and this is me walking around again. So I'm talking to one of the neighbors on going down to pick the kids up from school when I'm walking down there. And all of a sudden I hear a backup beeper because the recycle truck had gone past, and then I look around and the recycle truck is like backing up. They're like literally 2 feet away from me. And I could see the guy standing in the cab, and I walk up, I walked onto the grass so that I was off the roadway because I didn't trust the person driving. And I look in the cab, and there are 2 people in the cab, and I start yelling. I'm like, what are you doing? And the guy, literally, this is what he said to me. We have a backup camera. We have a backup camera. We ran over you, but we have a backup camera. And I looked at the driver because it wasn't the other person that was driving. And I said to them, you're not doing this right. And the fact that there was another person standing in the cab could have got out and spotted them when they were backing up on a public roadway with people walking around just boggles my mind. That, when the safety department, after they ran over somebody, is going to say, well, we had a backup camera. Well, that's great that you have a backup camera because that's not helping you prevent crashes when you're backing up. We have a backup camera. Awesome. Elevator fan, when the roads are being plowed by snow plows, give them plenty of room. Yes, and as I said, don't pass snow plows when it is icy and slippery in the wintertime because you're going to get out into the other lane. It's probably not going to be maintained, and when you get in front of the snow plow, you're into deep snow and those types of things, and you're potentially going to lose control of your vehicle. So know that when you're driving in the wintertime, exactly what Elevator Fan just said. DMA, the CRV is doing awesome, my friend. I touch wood, it is driving well, so I'm happy with it. Excellent. Gigi, my friend, owns a 2015 Lexus, is 250, and I was in last winter. It had 194,000 kilometers and went through the snow like it was nothing. Yes, excellent. So some of these vehicles are really great. I mean, most of the vehicles now are front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. What's the other one? All-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. There are very few vehicles now that are strictly rear-wheel drive vehicles, so know that. DMA, how many kilometers do you have on the good old CRV? It's 418,000 kilometers on it, so it's like 249,000 miles. It's got a few miles on it, so, but as I said, there aren't many original parts left, on the drivetrain. So yeah, 419,000 kilometers. Yes, so winter driving. Know that it is more slippery when the temperature is around freezing, 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Take note of the temperature. The proverbial black ice. Bridges and overpasses freeze first, high and low elevations. Any place where the roadway lies in shadow of a building, a mountain, those types of things. And any time that a roadway goes near a body of water, you're going to lose control of your vehicle when it goes out of line, okay? So when it's not straight, curves, corners, and turns, that's when you're going to get into trouble. Too much brake, too much acceleration, too much steering wheel, that's when you're going to potentially lose control of your vehicle. All right, know that when you're driving in the wintertime to keep yourself safe. If you begin to lose control, get off the accelerator, get off the brake, steer in the direction that you want the vehicle to go. Wear your seatbelt, use the dead pedal, keep yourself in the seat for emergency maneuvers in the wintertime. Stay safe. And if you have the, if you do lose control and end up in the ditch, not a big deal. Get yourself towed out, carry on with your life, and be safe. All right? Yes, you want to see Puppy? Chloe. Here you go. Come here. Up. Up. There the Chloe dog. There the Chloe dog. She is 7 months. Yes, Chloe dog. Yeah, you say hi. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, the Chloe dog. Mm-hmm. She's super cute. And she's got a great personality. So, yes, the Chloe dog. Mm-hmm. Chloe dog. So she's been kind of down for a week because she got spayed last week. But another Frenchie. So we got 3 Frenchies. No, Chloe doesn't play fetch. Chloe likes sticks. So her and Striker like sticks. Izzy Bear. Izzy, the other one, she likes playing fetch. So she'll chase the ball and those types of things. Oh, Marion, yeah, the 2 of them, they get along like a house on fire. Absolutely love each other. But she's definitely a puppy. She's got just tons and tons and heaps of energy. DM, no, I am not a black belt yet. Purple belt. So I'm halfway. It's going to take me a little longer to get to black belt than most because I don't do it seriously. Not like others. Like we got a couple of guys who are really serious about it. So not yet. We're getting there. So it'll happen for sure. All right, the Chloe dog. Yeah, you want to say bye to everybody? All right. I still try and train jiu-jitsu 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, so we're doing all that. So yeah, my face is now clean. Yep, the Chloe. Oh, you do Chloe dog. Oh, you love the Chloe dog. All right. You want to say bye to everybody? Thank you, everybody. All your great questions and attending the live stream. Always a pleasure. Have a great night. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. All the best. Bye now.